Guy opened my eyes to some things that probably the average person doesn't pay attention to.
So friendly and so involved. I thoroughly enjoyed them.
The biggest thing about the Elliott family and them going into the Greeley Stampede Hall of Fame is just not only as a family is that they've had such an impact on the event as a whole. I mean, they were there, Vern and Jack were there from the very beginning. They were the first stock contractors. And, I found a really cool article in 1925 Greeley Tribune where Jack Elliott was bringing his Wild West show to the Greeley Stampede on the 4th of July. So that they were there for the initial part of this celebration and helped, eventually get to where it was. And then you toss in Guy, who was rodeo chairman, and then he became chairman of the event, and his impact, his years there, helping rebuild after the fire. And then the little other facts is his daughters were both Weld County Queens, and they rode in the grand entries, they rode in the parades, and his daughter Jill actually worked in the Stampede office for a few years. So their families had an impact on this event dating all the way back to its inception.
What Guy did both at the National Western and San Antonio and the Penrose, the rodeo in Colorado Springs, he knew what he was doing, and so every place he went, they appreciated the skill and knowledge that he had and the improvement that he was able to bring to those rodeos.
Vern, according to research, invented the first side buck-out bucking chute, which before that, back in the day, they would just have a pickup man in the arena with the horse haltered up, kind of like they do the wild horse races, and the contestant would have to climb on, and then they'd let them go and they'd buck. So when they started using the side release bucking chute, to change the sport of the bucking, the bareback riding, saddle bronc riding, and helped eventually get to where it was. And then you toss in Guy, who was rodeo chairman, and then he became chairman of the event, and his impact, his years there, helping rebuild after the fire. And then the little other facts is his daughters were both Weld County Queens, and they rode in the grand entries, they rode in the parades, and his daughter Jill actually worked in the Stampede office for a few years. So their families had an impact on this event dating all the way back to its inception.
Very well respected, and it was obvious to see when people met Guy from other rodeos as well as our rodeo as well. Of course, he served as a committeeman here. His knowledge, just in his quiet conversations and his demeanor, it was very evident that he was very knowledgeable and had grown up around animals and involved with the rodeos and that type of thing.
But Janine was always the old bucker wife, Mother Bucker, who was there at the buck house serving at the soda machine. I could always find Janine year after year, from the bunkhouse to the exhibition building to the event center. I could find her before social media. We had radio interviews. We didn't post things. We went and did radio interviews, and so I got to know Guy when we would go on the road and go someplace to do a radio interview, and got to hear the stories of his family and also the rodeo roots that he had here in Weld County.
He was so easygoing and so easy to talk to. Storyteller, he was just such a nice guy.
If Guy was involved in it and Guy gave you his word something was going to be done, it was done.
Jill and I have golfed together and ridden horses together, and the highlight was always when her dad would be coming over to do some work around her house, and even in his last years, he was a worker.